Well, good morning. Oh, yeah, I've been up since before 3 o'clock. I actually had my blurb and title written by 3:30, but I decided to wait another hour before starting the video so I could check my emails and stuff like that, which I've done. Pondering a lot, though, before I even got out of bed. And the title that I came up with before I got out of bed was Finding Scapegoats for Our System Failure. Whistleblowing is a dangerous activity. This is especially true in a society that has placed criminals in charge of the major institutions. The most horrific crimes against humanity have been committed by people in high places. These are usually the ones who pay the front men and women to cover up their crimes and perversions. Those brave individuals who discover the horrific truth are often punished for either minor shortcomings or outright false charges. This is a diversionary tactic of the elite, those who want to rule the world with impunity. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and Bradley Manning are well-known whistleblowers associated with WikiLeaks. The scandal involving Kevin Annett and the ITCCS is getting a lot of attention in the alternative media these days. Is this just another diversion? Another scapegoat to keep us from focusing on the horrific system failure of our human society? I know this is the third day in a row that I've talked about this, but it irritates me to no end when I hear people say, if the ITCCS and Kevin were doing the right thing, why hasn't anybody been prosecuted yet? Why is the Pope still not in jail? Why are the other people that committed such heinous crimes against humanity, why are they still free? And so the tendency, as I see it, is to throw all the blame and all the responsibility on Kevin Annett and his attempt to establish common law courts. Now, there are many people around the world that have been trying to establish common law courts. There have been grand juries held. There have been indictments created by these grand juries against people like George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, to name a few notable criminals that are still free and at large. There are many others. The list would go into the thousands, at least, of people that have committed crimes against humanity. I name ones that we know. The ones that we don't know behind the scenes, the ones who pay the people to do the front roles, the people behind the curtain that actually pay the bill and purchase the system of corruption. It's a system failure. It's a system that pretends it does one thing, but does the exact opposite. Because the world is built on lies. Lies, lies, and more lies. And the people that try the hardest to expose those lies often end up being victimized by the system itself. I've seen and read, and I know far too many examples to not realize that this is the reality of the world that I live in, that we all live in. But we are far more willing to throw rocks at the people that don't get accomplished what we would like to see accomplished or claim to want to see accomplished. We're far more willing to throw them under the bus than to actually do something that might change things. I think it's important that we have whistleblowers. I think it was an absolute crime that Bradley Manning got a 35-year sentence, 35 years behind bars for doing the right thing. And the government that prosecuted him got away scot-free. The same government, the same U.S. government that is involved in the largest extortion racket the world has ever known, and the largest war games racket, military-industrial complex that the world has ever known. We get away, we, the United States government, gets away scot-free, while people like Bradley Manning get 35-year sentences for telling the truth. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I know enough to say that Kevin Annett told the truth. But I do know how the system works, and I do know that there are people that have been working really hard to bring him down. People that 1 month didn't even have enough to eat, and then a few months later were traveling to the other side of the world, all expenses paid. Something with this picture, to me, doesn't make sense. It doesn't resonate. And I'm losing friends and blocking people and getting people pissed off because I'm siding with Kevin Annett. And there's a lot of people that I like, that don't like that I'm siding with him. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying that there haven't been deceptions, but I do understand that you don't put if you have a court that's going up against high-profile individuals that have committed serious crimes, that you do not put that information out to the general public, because you're only going to get prosecution and the state coming after you for trying to do the right thing, because our world has been, everything in our world has been inverted, turned inside out and upside down. Now, I spent a couple of hours, I guess it was a couple of hours yesterday, listening to Red Ice Radio and John Lash. And he has created what he calls the Kaliko War Party, and I do not know what Kalika means. There's probably a meaning to it, but I don't. He might have even said it, but I don't remember it in this moment. But he says it's time for us to use magic and go on the offensive against these criminals that have been subverting the entire planet, that have been committing horrendous crimes. I mean, child abuse and pedophilia are only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they have been stealing people's homes, wrecking people's lives, bringing false accusations against people. The injustice of the system is horrendous. I mean, it is so bad, so bad. And John Lash is saying, look, we've got to start using magic to go after these criminals, even the men and women, if there are women, behind the curtain that are doing these dastardly deeds, that are funding these things. The Dragon family wants to fund projects for humanity. The ambassador has revealed that again and again. And I know there are people in high places, even in the establishment, that do want to do the right thing. There is a change that's going on, a transformation that's happening on planet Earth, where people actually do want to do the right thing and bring justice based on truth to the world, with compassion, with an actual love. But we can't, as John Lash said in the Red Ice interview, he said we've too long fallen under the spell of resist not evil. He says that is one of the worst things that anyone on this planet ever said, and it's supposedly attributed to Jesus. Resist not evil. That's exactly why evil runs the world, because nobody has created an organized effort around the planet to snuff out evil, to excise the cancer that is literally eating human society alive and destroying life, destroying truth, destroying freedom, destroying beauty, destroying sanity. I mean, the world has been run by psychopaths, extraterrestrial and human. And it's time that we brought focused energy against these people and, if necessary, kill them. Prevent them from ever stepping a foot on this planet ever again. People say, we can't do that because it's a free will zone. Give me a freaking break. Are the only ones that have free will criminals? Are they the only ones that deserve to do what they want with impunity? What about the free will of people that say, I do not consent? What about those of us that want to be free and just simply be left alone when the state itself doesn't leave us alone? Where's our free will? Where's the exercise of our rights, of our human rights, the unalienable rights that were granted to us by our Creator, we're told in the Declaration of Independence? We have rights that are part of natural law, which our forefathers in the United States told us about and enshrined in some of our early documents. But everything there has been subverted too, so that the United States, which was the lighthouse and the hope of the world, turned around and became the scourge of the earth, the worst terrorist nation on the planet, along with Israel. When are we going to wake up, folks? When are we going to focus on the problem and stop going after the little people that are trying to shine the light on it? I'm not saying any of the ones that I named or any of the other whistleblowers are perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I know I'm not. I know I'm not. But the system is broken. We are experiencing a system failure of massive proportions, and it's time that the entire populace of the planet awakens to that fact. We far outnumber those that are the abusers. We far outnumber those who are the victimizers on this planet, and yet they control much more than we do, even though they are outnumbered thousands to one. Thousands to one. I mean, it's not even a fair competition except for our ignorance, which is why the family, why the ambassador keeps emphasizing the war on ignorance and the war on financial tyranny. If we don't bring down the cabal, if we don't bring down these criminals, nothing else matters. But we have to also recognize the criminality in our own being and transform that. How do we do that? How do we do that? It's a balancing act. There's no one set formula that's going to work across the board. It's embracing the paradox that I've talked about throughout the time I've been doing videos and for years before I ever did a single video. We need to come home to reason, to compassion, to truth. And we need to be willing to blow the whistle on ourselves. Not to fight each other, but on ourselves. We are the ones who are responsible. And we need to start supporting those that have been trying to reform the institutions and repurpose the institutions, repurpose the courts, basing them on common law. Maritime law is a crime against humanity. All of its foundations and premises are faulty, are false, are fraud. All of them. The entire Roman system, from the Vatican and from the financial system from the City of London and from the Washington, D.C. military-industrial complex headquarters and the Zionist state of Israel, all of these are fraud. They are committing crimes against humanity, and some of the people in the royal bloodlines, some of these families have horrendous records of pedophilia, of child sacrifice, of just horrific crimes against humanity, which they buy and they pay people to turn their head and look the other way. I applaud Kevin Annett for having the courage to blow the whistle, to having the courage to bring this to our attention so that we can see what's going on in the world. And I don't know why my computer screen jumped off. Well, there it comes back on. It was off for a good while there. Well, actually, probably it wasn't that long. Seemed like a long time because I was trying to get it back immediately. Anyway, folks, we need to wake up. And I have to look more at this Kaliko War Party thing that John Lash presented. Parts of it still don't resonate a lot with me. I don't like the idea of killing. I don't like the idea of using violence. But something has to give somewhere, because the people that are so evil don't do what they promise. And they've got a long record of making promises and breaking them. And this has to end. We need to stop looking for scapegoats and start fixing the problems that are really, really huge, that keep us from experiencing the life we all long for in our hearts. I thank you for listening. Namaste.